to join for live questions with this link that I'm going to post right now in our chat. So you'll be able to join me live in real time to talk about this fight card, and you'll be able to be on the telecast and tell your opinion, show your opinion. I'll always like to remind you guys as well that your chat questions will be displayed on screen. Since this is StreamYard, I paid $25 for this, so all your questions are going to be displayed here, and we're going to be discussing everything from the point of view of a ringside physician, of course. So let's start. I believe we need to start. Let's start from the beginning. I would love to start from the from the first fight, which it was a Lingo versus Kilborn fight. And I think it was one of the best fights of the night. We saw Lingo enter nonchalantly to the octagon. Great fighter from the get-go. I knew that Lingo was going to be trouble for Kilborn. I mean, Kilborn in the telecast, we saw everybody in the desk talk about how great the training of Kilborn was leading up to this fight, that he was with American Top Team and or AK, I believe. I don't remember exactly. But the striking of Lingo was just so crisp, so clean. That right hand was landing, constantly. And actually, it made Kilborn dive for the legs in round two. Right, round two, he was seen, a little bit, desperate, and it for my taste, he didn't have what it took. He didn't have what it took to definitely be competing there with Lingo. A great fighter, but he implemented his game plan too late. Lingo was super sharp with strikes. His strikes were really clean and made, the head movement was non-existent for Kilborn. The head movement was definitely non-existent. Oh, here we got Hey, shout out NMVA. Will Calvin have TBI? Oh, yes, my man. Yeah. I mean, if you guys want to talk about that, he's definitely gonna have TBI when we see a fighter get hit like that. What comes to mind is this picture. It's the brain is every shot that you're seeing Calvin Kattar take. His brain is jiggling inside. Look at that jelly in there, guys. That's Calvin Kattar's brain with every one of the 280 shots, I believe, that Max Holloway landed, for sure. So it was insanity. Hold on, guys. I need to change something here in the telecast. But yeah, he's definitely going to have TBI. There's no way that we could know absolutely for sure when it's going to be manifesting, when it's going to happen, when it's going to poke its head, when is he going to change, when he's going to start slurring his words. We don't have an answer to that completely at the moment, but what we do know is that the damage was there, and he's going to have consequences from it, most definitely. Okay, another question from NMVA. He said his corner should have stopped it. No chance of winning past third round. Also, his nose breaks every single fight. Is that bone or cartilage? Yeah, it's cartilage. That part of the nose that is hurt there is cartilage, and but there's bone also. There's a complex of bone and cartilage. Once it's broken in MMA, 4-ounce gloves, most definitely you're gonna see it re-break. And I am absolutely in line with your opinion. His fight should have been stopped the fourth round. I believe Herb Dean should have stopped it a little bit earlier, and he should have been on his game when Kattar was against the ropes, after that flurry of Max Holloway putting it to him. There was no need. What else do you need to prove? You don't need to prove anything else. I mean, for me, it was silly to let him fight the fifth round. Why? Because it's on ABC, and you're gonna have more fans tune in or something. I don't, it was deleterious to Kattar's health, and I believe it's gonna show in the future. So it's I don't like it. as everybody knows here that follows the channel, I'm a ringside physician. So my main interest is always the my main interest is to have the fighters' health be you know be respected, and that wasn't the case here in this fight. So it was something that it's going to be discussed right now. People are discussing it on MMA Twitter. People are all over this, and there's going to be a lot of opinions, towards this fight, and a lot of people are going to be having strong opinions on the ref. But what I do want to tell you guys is that the ringside doctor that was in front of the action in Abu Dhabi, of course, and Herb Dean as a ref. If there is a damage, let's say that Calvin Kattar suffers a bleed and dies, um, he's liable for the death for wrongdoing, because lawyers are going to break down that film and say, hey, you're talking about a fighter that has no output, a fighter that most definitely is not defending himself. He's winging some punches and having some punches there, but there's no way he could win. Why would you keep a fighter fighting if he doesn't have a chance, and he's getting concussed and concussed all over and all over again? It's just not the right way. NMVA, a shout out to NMVA for being the MVP of the questions of the chat section. Can you medically explain why the chin deteriorates as opposed to other bones, which usually get stronger, shins and knuckles? Okay, yeah, this is a great question, NMVA. What happens is that when you are having a concussion, your brain is jostling around, so it's not actually your chin that's the issue, the bone of your chin. The problem here is that when you get hit in that spot of the chin, your brain, your head jolts very quickly, so it's an acceleration of the head on its axis, on the neck, on the neck, on the first vertebrae, and you have that jostle of the brain, as you guys are seeing it in that jelly animation right there, or here in this better animation. The brain is in there, so it's actually not the chin, as NMVA is posed in this question. Can you medically explain why the chin and why it deteriorates, why that capacity to absorb damage deteriorates? Well, the reason is very simple. Your brain wants to not receive that punishment. Your brain wants to not receive that much damage, so it's gonna shut off quicker. Your brain's like, no, I don't want to take any more damage. I'm not gonna take any more punishment, and I will simply shut down and be knocked out. And that's the reason. Look at that animation again. Let's take a look at that beautiful GIF animation, and it's the brain jostling inside the skull. That's what causes the brain to shut off. The brain is a very soft tissue. It's very similar to this gel that you're seeing here. This is a great example. Imagine that 280 times for your brain. The symptoms are going to be clear, and the symptoms are going to be present. You're going to have a headache. You're going to have a headache. You're going to have dizziness. You're going to have nausea. You're going to have a lot of the symptoms of traumatic brain injury, of acute traumatic brain injury. What we want to look for is the damage lies in the chronic traumatic brain injury. So when this beating that Calvin Kattar took, how it's going to hold up to his future performances. He's a young athlete, so he's very early in his career. He's already had a lot of damage in his brain tissue. So how is this going to fare against other fights? Okay, NMVA says here, so the chin jawline has nothing to do with getting KO'd. What about the cartilage on the corner of your jawline? Mouthpieces usually help preventing that, since you keep your jaw tight. Yeah. There is, you take damage, right? And what happens is that hit that you're taking on the chin, it gets translated through your joint, through the base of the skull. So really the problem here is not the jaw. It's the jaw opens and closes. What the mouthpiece does, it creates an angle. It creates a good angle, and as you're biting down onto it, you prevent the jostling of of your head on the neck. So it gives you a little bit of prevention, because you're biting down, and it's more than anything technique. But I think more than the bone itself or the cartilage is bearing down and being, focused on that hit that's coming. If you don't see the hit coming, that's the problem. And that's why, here, one of the fans here. So the chin jawline, yeah, mouthpiece. Actually, they make it worse sometimes, because you're biting down. What a lot of people that haven't been on the ring, uh, understand, is that when you're biting down on that, sometimes if it's not fitted right, you're pressuring down on your jaw and your bite to keep it in. So sometimes it's a hassle. That's why some fighters spit it out. Um, but yeah, it's gonna have some issues for Maxi Baby. So yeah, now that we're talking about that fight, let's just begin with that fight. Maxi displayed an insane amount of skill in this fight. This is the best version of Max Holloway that I've seen. And Max Holloway, there has been a lot of talk about traumatic brain injury on Max's behalf as well. If you guys remember, if you guys are hardcore fans and you remember, Max, when Max was cutting weight for the Khabib fight, he was going to fill in for Tony Ferguson and fight Khabib in New York a couple of years back. And he was presenting himself, slurring his words. He looked really weak. He had to be carried out of the sauna when he was cutting weight. So there was some concerns. Okay, hasn't Max taken 1,000 blows? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and it's a great point in MVA. It's weird saying your name. An MVA dash. Is that how you pronounce it? Max has taken his fair share of strikes, but he has tolerated so far a lot better, and he seems refreshed. And what a lot of people don't know, and in the folks, DC, Daniel Cormier, and Don Hardy were touting Max's new training regimen of no sparring, as a way to refresh his career. And they might be onto something. They might be onto something very, very important. I mean, Calvin Kattar. This is Calvin Kattar on the stool before round 2, right? So if you have a fighter that looks like that before round 2, there's a problem. And although Max Holloway has taken his fair share of punishment, he has reduced the risk, or he's reducing the risk of future punishment by taking hard training out of his schedule and out of his regimen. So it's it's something that's really important. Keeping the hard sparring away. I think everybody's going to be watching. The UFC's a copycat league a lot of times, and everybody's watching. So I think with this performance that Max put in today, there's going to be a lot of people watching, and there's going to be a lot of people trying to emulate. Okay, so this is how Max Holloway. This is how refreshed Max Holloway is before a fight with no hard sparring. So I think this is going to become something that a lot of people do, because it's the people that have the fighters, the athletes that have the lead on what they do, the ones that are setting the precedent. And I think this is going to be a good trend. I mean, Max looked like a killer. There's absolutely no way that Volkanovski excuse me, guys. There's no way that Volkanovski can defeat Max Holloway if this Max Holloway shows up. He was a prime. He was an athlete on his prime, but this was not the only fight. Of course, we were talking about before we started Lingo. That fight was great. And we had a female MMA fight, Vanessa Mello versus Moras. Not truly an entertaining fight. So let's skip ahead. All the respect to the ladies for putting on a show, but there's not a lot to talk about that fight. We have in this fight we have Sawada versus Amiv. Amiv reminded me of. I wrote down that he reminded me of Musasi. So he looks a hell of a lot like Musasi, and he took this fight this fight by a narrow margin. I mean, Sawada was landing some beautiful lead leg kicks on Emiev, and it made him go for the takedown, made him dive for the legs and dive for the hips, real quick, a real proper. But he at the end he took the W. I mean, I thought he had broke at the end when Zawada was able to take him down. I thought he was broken and he was done for, but that wasn't the case. I mean, he was able to put enough combinations together, and in the third round, I think he was active enough to get a split decision. For my taste, it could have went either way. It could have went either way. So I want to remind you guys that for live questions, you can join me live right here in this telecast through this link. This link is in the first comment of the chat, so you're able to connect and be live right here in the stream with me and discuss your points and tell me you're absolutely wrong, this and that, and you can create drama, big drama show like Golovkin would used to say. So I'm going to leave that up here. So yeah, and that was a nice fight, nice back and forth action, and of course the judges gave Emmy this fight, but all the fighters that are watching Emmy right now, they know exactly what to do to defeat him. So I don't think he ranks up there all that very high in this in okay, we have it coming right here. Okay, NMBA, is there a medical explanation why some people get KO'd easier and some don't? As far as its sensitivity, how brain sensitivity, your exposure to being knocked out, and how your brain develops that reflex to get knocked out easier. It's what determines, right? Also, the structure of your neck. You're snapping your neck. If you have a strong structure, that's why you guys see boxers fight on the neck. A lot. You see a lot. Now you're seeing it more in the UFC, but the neck training of boxers is intense, and you see it with Canelo. You see Canelo, pulling some massive weight with his neck with chains, and just to get his neck strong. Oh, shout out to now Santiago, a new 155-pound champ. Bless, Max blessed. Yeah, I agree. I think he could do some big things at 155. I mean, the rematch with Conor is right there. That would be a great fight. I would love to see Blessed fight Gaethje, Justin Gaethje. Of course, I wouldn't like to see him fight Dustin Poirier again. But there's a lot of fighters, and Michael Chandler maybe with Bless Holloway. That would be great. That would be a great fight. What do you guys think about that fight? Max Bless Holloway against Michael Chandler from Bellator. That would be a great fight too. And NBA, that Mexican chin is a phenomenon. Yes, I don't understand that. I guess, but some Mexican fighters, some Latino fighters have gotten knocked out pretty badly in the UFC. Cain Velasquez comes to mind when Junior Dos Santos knocked him out with that perfect shot to the to the side of his head, and broke his balance and had him in all sorts of trouble. Okay, we have here now Santiago. So what about the Vaseline on Max's face and the glove, supposedly to give it more friction in the Kattar fight? I mean, yeah, the Vaseline. I think what's behind the Vaseline is just making sure that the when you're turning your face, the shot slides off of your face, and for the Vaseline on your eyebrows is so the shot doesn't connect solid and it doesn't cut you. And of course, once the cut is open, that Vaseline has epinephrine, which is adrenaline, pretty much, and it closes the blood vessels that are bleeding. So yeah, it says Max can't last in 155. His power isn't there. Look at the Poirier fight. Yeah, I agree. Everybody's gonna be riding high and mighty with this performance by Max, because Kattar looked like such a world beater. Although on his last fight there were some holes in there that were very, very visible. So everybody's going to be riding high on Maxi baby, and he deserves it. I mean, but I absolutely don't want Max to take the same punishment he took in that Poirier fight, because he dished out what Poirier gave to him. So it's something that I don't want to see again. We have another comment here by Binky I. In I would like to okay, well, Cater to fight the Korean Zombie. That would be a great fight. Both are coming off losses, and both are coming off losses that they were pretty outmatched in. They were, that fight against Bald Ortega, Bald Ortega, put it on Korean Zombie, and it was a striking fest against the Korean Zombie. So yeah, that's a great matchup. That's a great matchup, Binky. I think that you're onto something. That fight would be a great fight. Of course, as a physician, I would give them, I would like to see them fight it around. Okay, I would like to see them take that fight around summer. Kelvin Kattar, the Korean Zombie. That's a great matchup, but that has to take place in summer. We have to wait a little bit to see that tremendous fight. But it's a great matchup for both of them. So I agree wholeheartedly. Let's see what fight we can talk about here. We talked about, of course, let's talk about the banger, guys. Justin Tafa versus Felipe. That was an amazing fight. I mean, um, we it makes me think that these are the new Mark Hunts. When Mark Hunt left the UFC, we were, bummed out because we didn't have these. I call these fighters, heavyweight bombers, because Justin Tafa and Felipe Lopez, they were putting on an amazing show. Felipe, uh, seemed tentative at the beginning. And again, if any of you guys want to join me live here with video, you just have to click this link that you're seeing in the screen right now. It's on the first. I'll actually share it again on the chat. Okay, NMVA says here, do you think Adesanya is on the roids? How can a 30-year-old grow a breast? Yeah, there. I have a great video, NMVA, on my channel, explaining about that. There's a lot of things that could account for Adesanya's gynecomastia. So gynecomastia is actually growth of breast tissue in a male, in a male patient, in a male person, and it could occur, a number of things can cause it. Trauma could cause it, and of course, steroids can cause it. Yeah, Adesanya, as a, I can't really, make allegations on if he's on steroids or not. What I can tell you is he's been clean. He's been tested more than 8 times in the past year. Did it happen during the pandemic where testing couldn't be done? Yeah, it did. It was pretty fast. The development of that tissue was pretty fast. I mean, in the Robert Whitaker fight, we didn't see this breast tissue, and now we see it when he fought Paulo Costa. So it definitely raises some question. And here's that link, guys. That link to jump here in live with me if you want to discuss the fights. Absolutely, it's on the chat right now. Okay, let's carry on. We were talking about that Justin Tafa and Felipe Lopez fight. It was a banger. First round, it went to Tafa. Tafa was, really basic with 1-2s. Felipe was a little tentative, but he opened up rounds 2 and 3, and actually made Tafa, go for takedowns, which is uncharacteristic of Tafa. But we saw them perch on the middle of this was awesome. Seeing both of these big guys perch up in the middle of the octagon and just swing for the fences. It was incredible. Okay, Binky has another question here. Could you explain how some people are so durable, like Tony when he fought Gagey and KR tonight? It's all about how to condition your body. I mean, these guys, their body is supremely conditioned. Neck muscles, back muscles. There's a whole host of muscle groups that influence the way that brain. So if we see the brain being jostled inside inside the cranial vault, you think, there's absolutely no muscle to prevent that, but there is. I mean, if your neck muscles, your trapezius muscles, your latissimus dorsi muscles are strong enough, they're gonna hold back. They're gonna hold back your neck from being all over the place. I mean, when we see in boxing hits like that, look at that, right? That's not on the chin, but look at that face. Look at the face, how it's moving. Look at the cranial vault. Imagine the brain in there. What happens to the brain when you're hit with a shot like that? Imagine that with 4-ounce gloves. It's even worse. So it's something that 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 we can't train for. You could train for the muscles, the supporting cast of the brain, which are the neck muscles, your trapezius muscle, and your reflexes. You can train your reflexes to be out of the way. But if you get hit with those big shots, you're going down. I mean, we saw the fighters like Tony Ferguson on the Gagey fight. That's a really damaging. That's a really damaging fight. Calvin Kattar is he's durable. He's not going down, but he's receiving a lot of damage. So I think there's a little bit of work that needs to be done for regulators, for refs. I mean, Herb Dean, I can't criticize Herb Dean. Herb Dean's a solid ref. I know him personally, but it's something that has to. It can't happen again. I mean, uh, would any of you guys would have said anything if the fight would have been stopped on the in the fourth round? Would any of you guys have said anything if that fight was stopped in the fourth round? It's none. I think no one would have said anything. I mean, everybody would have been pleased with the way the fight went. So I think it's just a question. It's just a question of being more aware of how you take damage in the octagon. So it's craziness. Tafa was landing some good kicks. I thought Justin Tafa was landing some great kicks, and that's why I think that's what. Oh, okay. Nope. Could you explain? Nope. Primary. What's up, Primary? We have a down man. It should have been stopped after. I absolutely agree. I completely agree with you, down man. It definitely could have been stopped on the third or on the fourth round at any moment. At any moment. I mean, you saw fights end, quicker. Okay, Primary, what's up? What's up, Primary? What's good, baby? We're talking about the fights here. We're live. Is this your first time on the channel? I'm actually a certified ringside physician. So you guys can ask me any questions associated to that. But yeah, I mean, what's insane? The Max fight was insane. But we're moving, we're trucking right along. Okay. We got another coming in here. Yeah, what's up, buddy? Remember, everybody, that I want to remind everybody that if you want to jump in live for live questions, you can jump in live here with the stream. In the stream, following this link, the link is going to be. I'm commenting it a couple times here in the chat, so you guys can definitely see the link is right there. The last chat is right there. So if you guys want to join me and have live questions, you definitely can do so. Nobody else. There's no other ringside physician giving you the opportunity to have live questions and discuss the fights right here on YouTube. I believe we were earlier than the actual UFC post-fight show. So, let's keep it going. There was another great fight. Lingo, no. Okay, let's see. Tafa, Justin Tafa. That was great. Puna Soriano. What do you guys thought about that fight? Puna Soriano against Todorovic. Everybody thought Todorovic was going to do a great job. What's up, my brother? We got Chris and Jairus in the house. Welcome to the stream, my friend. You can jump on for live questions with the link. There's a link in the chat. So if anybody wants to come live in the telecast, in the broadcast, you can definitely do so. Yeah, Todorovic and Soriano. What did you guys think about that fight? About the Todorovic Punia Soriano? I'm having such a hard trouble pronouncing his name. Punia Soriano. I'll just call him Sori and Todorovic. What a tremendous, amazing fight. That left hand. Everybody, I want to say something. Take it off my chest. I want to take something off my chest. DC and Dan Hardy. We're talking all sorts of jazz about Punia Soriano winging his shots, and that Todorovic was getting ready to counter and moving his head and playing around with Punia, and they had to eat crow instantly. I mean, it doesn't get any straighter than that. The shots, Punia has it's an unorthodox boxing style, so he uses a lot of lateral. I don't want to move a lot. I want to be on the mic, but he uses a lot of lateral movement to set up hooks that later set up these amazing straight shots, and they were not. It's power. It's the touch of death, like Fira Sahabi. It's a bomb that goes off. The bomb goes off when you get hit, and you can tell by the way that the body Todorovic was responding with his body. I mean, his body, he was trying to lean back to counter, to have like a pullback counter, and it Soriano wasn't playing that game. He had a simple task and he had a simple game plan, and it was throw giant bombs and throw them quickly, and that got him the W. I mean, and this guy started the year off with a bang. It was craziness. A great fight. Look at this, guys. Look at Soriano. Look at his thighs. He has massive thighs. That's what brings the power in these fighters. I mean, if you see the fighters when they create energy, the energy actually goes up from starts from the feet. When you see a big hit like that connect, look at that. It comes from the ground through the thighs, through the back, and you get massive power harvested by these guys, and then landing and creating that massive knockout. Okay, we have a question here. Victor, hey, what's up? No, first was Victor Melendez. Do you think Khabib will come back? I don't know if Khabib will come back. I think he's gonna watch for what's coming, and then come back. Okay, we have a question right here for Coach Rivera. Thank you, Coach Rivera, for that tip. Hey, guy, he is legit a full-blown doctor and a Shaolin Kung Fu, also a Jiu-Jitsu disciple. Much love, bro. Please, people, support the legit people. Hey, what's up, my friend, Coach Rivera? This guy is a good friend of mine. He is a boxer, and he's awesome. Thank you, Luis Rivera. He's from Puerto Rico, as myself. We're both Puerto Rican fighters. And yeah, I did practice Shaolin Kung Fu. If you have something to say about it, jump on the live stream right now. What's up, my friend? Good to have you here. This guy has a lot of crazy input on the fight. Did you see the fight, the Max Holloway fight, Coach Rivera? We have, what did you make of the gash of Kattar's head? Yeah. Oh my God, that's gonna need at least 4 to 5 stitches. Yeah, hope Khabib comes back for Charles Oliveira. I'm really interested in that fight. I'm really interested in that fight with Khabib, and I think Charles Oliveira is working really hard on his wrestling, and it showed in that Tony Ferguson fight. So it's really interesting. Do I think he's gonna be Khabib? No. It just makes it interesting. Khabib has shown me that there's absolutely no fighter that's gonna make me go, oh wait, well, maybe wait, hold on. He could do something against Khabib. That has been beaten out of me. Okay, this Coach Rivera couldn't be busy. Oh, you can. You want to jump on the telecast, Coach Rivera? So Victor Melendez, it looks like Calvin Kattar broke his nose. Yeah, he definitely broke his nose. Yeah, he did. So I want to put the link out here. The link is here, Coach. If you want to jump in here for a quick second with me to talk about the fights real quick, and about talk about how important is it's boxing, because this guy Coach Rivera here, he's a boxing coach, actual boxing fighter. He could give us great input. Follow his channel as well if you're here on the broadcast. Yeah, so yeah, it looks like he broke his nose. I mean, Calvin Kattar, he has it's chronic. He's had many nose fractures in the past. Let me see if I can find a picture here of the nose anatomy. I'll I'll post it right here on in a quick second. Let me see. Nose anatomy, nose anatomy. Oh yeah, this is a great picture. Nose. So yeah, Kelvin Cater has had that problem, and he's had massive problems with nose fractures here in the past fights. I believe his last fight. I don't know if you guys saw it too. In his past fights, he definitely had some issues as well with nose fractures. Let me show the anatomy right here. There we go. The anatomy, it's pretty basic. You guys can see there that there's cartilage. Those cartilage that you're seeing there, there's upper and lower cartilage, and up there, up in the bridge of the nose, that's the problem. When you break that bone, that cartilage collapses and collapses on itself, and you get that typical flat nose, that typical flat nose profile that Cater was that we saw in Cater. Let me see. I think I have that picture of Cater right here. If you guys can see his nose, the indentation is right there. Look at his nose and look at the picture of the cartilage. The damage is right there in that junction between the bone and the upper cartilage. So that's really, really important. Okay, we have another question here by Victor Melendez. Well, you got to be careful not to get an uppercut because that can be deadly to the. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I agree. I mean, the speed that these guys are throwing the strikes, it's unfathomable. I mean, what we're seeing is it's boxing skill with 4-ounce gloves. And when we talk about boxing skills, we're talking about hard hits to the head. Okay, we have Victor Melendez. Where does Holloway go from here? Ah, man. For me right now, Holloway he could either go the super fight route because he's fought twice. He's fought Volkanovski twice, but if the bald version of Brian Ortega that fought Korean Zombie and that battered Korean Zombie shows up for this fight, he could beat Volkanovski. So I could easily see Max taking on Brian Ortega again. So Ortega versus Holloway too. I mean, Victor, I think, would you guys love to see Ortega versus Holloway too? Now with the new striking skills that Ortega brought to the table, plus his jiu-jitsu, I mean, I'll take my money. I'll buy that fight any day. Okay, we have Kristen Jarris. I heard them saying Max stopped sparring. It helped with his striking. Could you extrapolate? Yeah, absolutely. I was talking about that earlier. Yeah. When we see strikes, we're seeing damage to the brain and jostling of the brain and their traumatic brain injury. Every strike that you receive, and there's a lot of studies that been hold on, guys. Every strike, I use my sexy voice. Every strike that you receive in training counts for traumatic brain injury. Fast movements, box jumps in CrossFit cause pre-traumatic brain injury or pre-concussive hits. Pre-concussive hits, of course, a punch is a concussive hit, right? So you're seeing a big jolt of the brain. You're seeing the brain being hit and jostled around. But if it's a small hit, if it's hit in training, even if you have headgear, your brain is receiving damage. So what Max Holloway did here is nothing but amazing work. Definitely showing us that you don't have to be a meathead. You don't have to be a bonehead meathead, going 100% on training to be skillful. And his performances have shown it. I mean, his last fight against Volkanovski showed us that he was in tip-top shape, and he definitely did not. He definitely, he didn't spar hard for his last two fights. Are you guys, in accordance that his last two fights are up there with his top 5 performances? I mean, his fight against Ortega was something, but he was sparring for that fight. Okay, we have Nozu. Okay, Nozu, shout out Nozu. Thank you for your comment. We have I have Sabit submitting Holloway. I just wish Uncle Dana would give him an opportunity to prove himself. He's easily top 5 best jiu-jitsu in the UFC. Yeah, Absolutely, but there's this weird thing with Zabit. I mean, it's almost like the company is stuck on making the Pantera fight, making the Yair Rodriguez fight, and if it's not there, I think they're committing the same mistake that they made waiting with Tony. The Tony Ferguson fight against Khabib. Rebooking it so many times. The Yair Rodriguez fight versus Zabit is not going to happen, and I think they need to move forward. Yeah, I wouldn't hate seeing Zabit take on Holloway. Could he be able to submit him? That's a possibility. Can he take him down? That's the problem, because that Holloway has great wrestling, and so. But if he's able to take him down, I've seen a couple of Max's fight where he's been taken down and he's defended really well. I haven't, I sorry for being a casual right here, but I don't remember if Max Holloway has ever been being submitted in the UFC. I don't think so. Okay, hell yeah, Ortega versus Holloway in the summertime, International Fight Week. Yes, yes, Victor. Yes and yes, Vic. Yes and yes, triple yes, Victor. Fight week, I'll buy a ticket and I'll go. We'll squad up and go. We'll say, we'll put money together, and it'll be the Octagon Doctor squad in fight week. Nazu, big congrats goes to Holloway though. Yeah, man, it was. Did you? I was screaming. I was in front of my laptop screaming. In front of my laptop screaming. I'm actually in the call room in the hospital, and this is just a green screen, and I was screaming in the call room. It was amazing. By Poirier. Yeah, wait, hold on. By Poirier, Binky. Yeah, by Poirier was good. So let's see what else we got. We had that Justin Tafa. We have that Chirico. Oh my God. Did you guys see this knockout? The Chirico versus Jesus Christ with Joaquin Buckley. Jesus Christ. Talk about being the hammer and them being the nail. Okay. Triangle armbar by Dustin Poirier, if I remember right. Yes, Binky. Yes. Now I remember. That was really early. In his career. Yes, that's a classic fight. Shout out to Binky for bringing the knowledge here to the stream. Okay, we have another question here by Victor. Victor, what do you think about Ryan Garcia talking about wanting to join MMA too soon, or do you want him to fight Tank Davis before? I mean, Tank Davis is a beast. Everybody wants to see Tank fight King Ryan. And King Ryan is a great fighter, but you got to remember Luke Campbell hit him and made him do the dance and had him on the floor looking like this. Oh wow, this is loading really slow. King Ryan, look at that. If he can get through Tank Davis, and show everybody that he has the goods, he has to train MMA, he has to train wrestling. And that if he faces anyone in the top 20, they're going to take him down. There's absolutely no doubt. I think he's just creating drama for his own career. Even that Tank fight's not going to happen anytime soon. He had that Luke Campbell victory. He's going to milk it for all his worth. Tank is going to probably fight again before that. And he's not going to cross over to MMA. The only person that had the guts to climb into the cage was James Toney. And look what happened. You guys remember that fight, the James Toney fight? That was an insane fight. Okay, it says, what is your opinion on Oliveira possibly being the next best in lightweight division? Him and Glover just jumped in quality later in their careers. Yeah, absolutely. I think Oliveira has been really good for a long time, but he has not been able to gain consistency and gain wind underneath his sails, so to speak. So I think he's putting together I think he's putting together, there's a funny comment, I think he's putting together a great mix of wins and skill sets. He displayed tremendous skill sets. And yes, Victor, Luke Campbell made you just did not. Yeah, he made it. Luke Campbell, that's a little bit of salsa. A little bit of merengue, you know. He did. I mean, he he has all the talk, but he was there on the floor dancing the salsa. His fan. I have a friend, that we have another podcast in Spanish. Uh, it's Liga Combat La Cima Fight Club. It's a podcast in Spanish, and they were this was them crying when they saw Ryan hit the floor. They were screaming. But luckily, Ryan won. But yes, he made this guy dance to salsa. If you remember, Holly Holm, Victor said, if you remember Holly Holm crossover, and she was a boxing world champion, but she didn't really cross over. She did it slowly. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Absolutely, she did. But she got knocked out really badly in one of her last boxing fights. If you guys remember correctly, if you guys can look it up, can one of you guys be my young Jamie and look that up? But Holly was a great fighter. I think I have the hit that got Ryan here on video. I might have it right here on my StreamYard. Let me see. Is it this it? Boom, Ed, there you go. Check it out, guys. Yeah, that's it. Let me take this comment here other way real quick. Yeah, we had Ryan. Boom. Imagine if that was Tank Davis. Imagine if that hit was Tank Davis. That would have been lights out. That would have been night night, and that would have been it. Okay, Victor Melendez. Yeah, we have another Nazu. I have some predictions to make for who the next champ. Shoot them, Nazu. I'll get them out, and I'll see what everybody thinks about them. We have Binky. Who do you think will be bantamweight champ by the end? Corey is great. Corey Sanhagen. Let me see that top, bantam. Let me see that top 10 bantamweight. Bantamweight. It was what happened to Corey with Aljo. It stopped his momentum a little bit, but I could see him make a run. Who would he fight to get up there, Binky? I mean, we have bantamweight. Okay, we have Peter Yan. We have Aljo, Corey Sanhagen, Cody Garbrandt. I like Corey and Cody Garbrandt and Sanhagen. I don't know if that fight has been made already, but that would be a great fight. Everybody else. I mean, Frankie Edgar, Rob Font. Rob Font is looking really good with his recent KO of Marlon Moraes representing Puerto Rico. That was great. Pedro Munoz is up there. Jimmy Rivera. If Corey can get through Cody Garbrandt, that would be great. I like to see that fight. Corey and Cody. That would be a great fight. I think that has implications, and that fight could be made. And if I predict it right, and that's the next fight, I deserve a sub. So remember to subscribe to the channel. I know you guys are here having a great time with me, but don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. We have Victor saying, and Sophie Matthews was Holly Holmes' last knockout in boxing, but it wasn't her last fight. Thank you. Victor is my official young Jamie. I christen you, Victor, my official young Jamie. You have the position. Young Victor. So yeah, Holly was a great boxer. A little stiff for my she had that karate stance even in boxing. If you guys go watch her fights, she had that karate stance in even when she was boxing, which was kind of weird. So yeah, the Chirico. Oh, we needed to talk about this fight. What did you guys think about the Chirico Joaquin Buckley fight? Talk about being the hammer and then being the nail. That was an amazing fight. Another angle. That's a great. It's like taking a bat to the side of your head. Look at that. It's like it hit in the perfect spot. Taking a bat to the side of your head. Look at another angle. Man, I wanted Buckley to win so bad and just become a killer knockout artist. Okay, a long time. I also left a lot. Awesome, Binky. Thank you, brother. Every like and every share counts because there's a lot of people posting content post fight, but not a lot of people engage. And I think the funnest part of YouTube for me, the funnest part of YouTube is engaging with you guys, talking, having you guys, how your comments displayed, and discussing what happened with the fights. Excellent, excellent. Yes, that's the funnest part. That's the funnest part. That's what I do YouTube. There's other people jumping in on just when there's in big injuries. There's a doctor called Ryan Muffer, something like that, that's making a lot of videos. His channel has almost a 250,000 followers. But this is the channel to follow if you want it directly from a ringside physician that has been there in the octagon. I've been part of a lot of UFC Fight Pass shows as the doctor. Yeah, yeah, Victor, man, I was so bummed out that Buckley. I wanted Buckley to be a world beater. I wanted Buckley to not receive this kick. I wanted him to be Black Panther so bad. He does the Wakandan salute. I love his attitude. I love his intensity. But that's UFC for you. That's it. It's so difficult to build a resume of only wins because you got guys like Di Chirico on the sidelines waiting to just, oh, you have 2 wins. Check this. You have 2 wins. There we go. It's a complete bummer, and I'm completely sad and depressed that Buckley lost. I thought Buckley was gonna be a world beater, and he's not. I mean, I'm still a fan. Don't yeah, Victor. I'm completely with you. I'm still a huge Joaquin Buckley fan, and I think he's gonna turn back and do things. But somebody laid a footprint already, a blueprint, sorry, on how to beat him. Okay, Figueredo will remain champ by no gassing out earlier. Actually, I believe at some point or another, Zabit will get the belt by submitting his way to the top. Yeah, I can see Zabit anywhere of that top 10, in that top 3 actually. So it just depends who has that little edge on fight night. Okay, potentially Wonder Boy in welterweight depends on his game plan for Usman. Yeah, Robert will get the belt back at middleweight, and Jan stays champ, and Ngannou for heavyweight. All those could happen. All those could happen. And Ngannou has to get through Stipe. Stipe looked really good on his last fight. Um, Wonder Boy against Usman. It's kind of a Wonder Boy against Woodley, but a better version of Woodley. So if you guys watch, Jorge Masvidal, and I'm not comparing Jorge Masvidal as a striker to Wonder Boy, but it's gonna look a lot like that. Woodley, Usman pressing Wonder Boy against the fence. So, but Wonder Boy he looked amazing in his last fight. He said you should collab with you two, Dr. Mike. Yeah, Dr. Mike is he's a cool doctor. I'd love to collab with him, but these guys are not making a lot of collabs. I'm down to do. Oh, we got a friend here joining us. Our first instant guest. We have Coach Rivera is in the house. What's happening? We call all when we're friends. We call him Chino. What's up, my friend? Can you hear me?
How you doing? How you doing?
Oh, first instant guest of the night. Thank you for joining me
Give me
on
give
the
me one
telecast.
second.
Okay, I got you,
It's
buddy.
it's running in the side, so I hear double voice.
Oh, okay, 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 okay. Okay, let me see. Those are my predictions. I don't feel too confident about Wonder Boy and Jan. Yeah, I don't feel too confident about Jan either. I mean, he's going against
Got it.
he's going against Israel Adesanya. You need to see this Max Holloway fight, Coach Rivera. You definitely need to see this. Okay, I
Yeah,
got a
no,
couple
I
more
have to
comments.
go back and watch the replay. It's just I've been disconnected of MMA for so long that it's a little bit hard to go back. I'm a trainer, a boxing trainer, so I've been concentrated in just boxing because for a lot of guys that don't know, I'm not gonna say trainer because the main trainer is Alex Rivera, but I'm like basically the helper, second trainer of Rashidi Ellis. So a lot of guys don't know
Oh,
Rashidi Ellis is 23-0 with 14 knockouts, with signing with Golden Boy, and hopefully soon he should be getting a fight.
That's amazing. So we're getting the input of a legit boxing trainer. We have another question here. I really got the feeling that they gave Buckley, a guy that was on a 3-fight losing streak. They try to have him. Yeah, the Chirico's dangerous. It's just because the height difference. Buckley is shorter, so that kick was there. Buckley moves to the side. Coach Rivera, that works in boxing, right? When you're doing that Mike Tyson side to side, but there's no kicks in boxing. So when you're doing that, you open yourself to receive a kick, and that's what happened to Joaquin Buckley.
Yeah, no, it's legit. There's no boxers that can survive in MMA unless they click with one punch. And I would think the only boxer that will survive in MMA with one punch is Deontay Wilder. And the other way around, you know, but this is a little bit different. Certain MMA fighter can go with certain class of boxer, but none
Exactly.
of the MMA fighters can go to against like a C to B, like from C to elite level. It's going to be extremely hard for an MMA fighter to win.
What's Ryan Garcia's weight? How much does Ryan Garcia weigh?
If I'm not mistaken, he fought in the 135.
135. So he would have to go against the likes of Davison Figueiredo. What's the? Hold on, I have the ranking up here. He would get to go against Brandon Moreno, Joseph Benavides, Alex Perez, Brandon Royval, Alexander Pantoya. So
Yeah,
all the
he
fighters
he
are a
does
wrestler.
he does have a long list of people to choose, but the fact that he got the WBC entering title, his mandatory is David Haney,
Oh,
and
that's a tough
he's
fight.
I'm not saying he's ducking David Haney, but he's pushing David Haney to fight the so-called undisputed Teofimo Lopez, the Honduran kid.
Teofimo is Honduran. I thought he was Mexican.
No, actually, if I'm not mistaken, his dad is Honduran, and his mom, I think, is Mexican. But he goes more into the Honduran side.
Oh, Teofimo's a beat. I mean, first, he put Lomachenko. He fought Lomachenko. He had a great fight against Lomachenko, and he cemented himself. He took all the belts, and I
Well,
think it surprised Lomachenko that he came forward so quickly.
yeah. Well, he took all the belt. There's a big controversy. You know, we already talked a little bit about it. I'm not gonna bring it in because it's pretty long. But that franchise belt, I don't. How to
It's
say?
ridiculous.
Just put it this way. Mauricio Suleiman, the president of the WBC, came out saying that that belt is not transferred to nobody, and that it's not a belt; it's just a status. And all of a sudden, everything changed. That's the confusion because the real belt, David Haney has it.
Exactly. Haney could eat him up. I mean, he got put on the floor, real bad. And we'll talk about Ryan. So I don't know. I don't know about the fight. Hold on. I have a question, a couple of questions here, Coach. We have. Do you believe McGregor can get past Oliveira's legendary jiu-jitsu? Yes, McGregor is the best fighter. Coach, did you see the Khabib fight against McGregor? He was able to deal with the wrestling of Khabib better than anyone else. So I think he could get through Charles Oliveira no problem.
Yeah, I did watch that fight, and it was pretty good. You know, and Khabib did what he said he was gonna do. He was gonna smash his face, but a lot of people they underestimate McGregor's how you call it ground game, but
Mhm.
you know he focused on the striking because if he can just launch, strike, finishing out, there's less injury, and he's good for the next fight for his next thousands, millions, or whatever money he gets.
Yeah, Binky says here, I think Cody Garbrandt could be a pro boxer. Yeah, he has problems with his chin though, and you got to remember that fighters when they boxing hits are not the same as MMA hits. I've been there. I've been there as a doctor in boxing fights, and the shots sound so different. I mean, when you get hit by a boxer, it's it sounds like a shotgun um, going off, and it's so loud. And I've been as a ringside physician, the 4-ounce gloves don't sound that loud. And I've seen the only time I was actually this is something that is going to surprise a lot of you guys. I was the doctor in Daniel Aro versus Jesus. What's the name of this kid? That Daniel Aro, that he had a brain bleed and I was able to stabilize him and get him to the emergency room quick enough. Daniel Trish Franco against David Aro. I was a doctor in that fight. That's the only fight where I've seen a brain bleed occur. So that's boxing. Boxing is, you don't play boxing. You absolutely don't play boxing. He said Cody Garbrandt would have to fight Teofimo Lopez. Teofimo would eat him alive unless Cody takes him to the ground. Okay, we have another question. Binky, after Oliveira got Tony in an armbar, I believe he can submit anybody in lightweight. The Harpa would be getting Connor to the ground. Yes, you're right. You're right, Binky. After Oliveira got Tony, but remember, it's Tony, the version of Tony that was battered by Justin Gagey for the better part of 4 rounds. So there's a difference too. He has a little, he's long on the tooth there, but yeah, Oliveira is solid. I'm incredibly interested in seeing Oliveira versus Khabib. What do you think about Khabib striking, Coach?
Uh, mm, he's, how to say it? He's not refined as a striker, but it does work for him. There's a lot of the same as like a lot of his boxing. Back in the days, there was a lot of fighters that weren't like refined, but they were good on what they do. Like Prince Nasser Hamed, he's known for launching like he's throwing a Superman punch and always making some weird stance and everything. But it works for him, and especially when everybody focus so much in the ground game and they don't want to go down that they forget his hands and his legs.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's great. Santiago Ponzinibbio. I know you didn't see any fights, Coach, today.
Nah,
There
haven't.
was
Well,
Santiago
actually,
Ponzinibbio got knocked out.
when you saw me texting in the chat, I was dealing with my daughter because I just came in from work, so I couldn't watch nothing at all.
Hold on, I need to connect the computer to the charger. I didn't expect it to be an hour long, but here we are. Give me a second, guys. All right, we are back. Yeah, it's sad. I mean, we have hold on, we have a couple comments here. Okay, really sad to see Santiago Ponzinibbio get knocked out. He was fun to play. Santiago Ponzinibbio. It was a shocker to me, and this was a shocker to a lot of my friends that are in the fight game. Let me see if I have that picture of Ponzi getting knocked out. The Chirico. Oh yeah, yeah. I named this picture "Heartbreak." It's so sad. It's so completely sad to see. Li's a beast. Li Jingliang is a beast. He Santiago Ponzinibbio, but it was so sloppy. I want you to look at this, Coach. Look at this. Is this right when you're trying to get away from a strike? What do you see wrong there in that picture?
Everything is wrong. His legs, chin up, leaning back, hands open. Everything is extremely wrong in that picture. Even if the punch wasn't hard, is I would say like a 60-70% he's gonna fall just because of his posture and his leg. Even if it wasn't hard to hurt him.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, get taken, but look at that. It's beautiful. Look at his legs, and you don't you don't you don't get out of the way of strikes if your hands are down. Look at his hands. His hands were all the way down. Was he trying to throw a left uppercut, it looks to me, or out of balance? Do you think so?
I don't know. I see it more like he was trying to counter with another punch with his right. I don't know. He's trying to counter with a hook. I don't know. It just looked weird. The fact that we cannot see it like an actual video, it's a little bit hard to tell. And I know you cannot put it on because you get flagged. So
Exactly, exactly. I just have pictures. NMVA says Santiago had ring rust. I don't think he threw more than one strike in the first 2 minutes. Yeah, absolutely. I believe in ring rust. Dominic Cruz says, he's famous for saying that he doesn't believe in ring rust, but I truly believe in ring rust, and I believe there was a hold on that it was an issue for this fight. Um, he hadn't been in the octagon for 2 years. And when you're not in the octagon for 2 years, this is what happens. You get touched, and he got touched in the chin and he went down. Of course, to his defense, he did have a bad infection. He did have really bad infection. That's bacterial infection in his bloodstream. He had an infected bone with
Mm.
bacteria. It's called sepsis, and that takes out of you a lot. Your cardio, your ability to kick, and he just looked like a different fighter. It's not the same fighter that was fighting Neil Magny 2 years ago and looking like a world beater and looking like the next in line for the title shot. But he got put down, and all we have is heartbreak. But that's a sport. The same with Joaquin Buckley. He was the viral sensation knockout of 2020. Everybody saw his knockout against Impa Kasanganay, and now he's on the other side. He's there. He's gonna be the guy that
Ooh,
received the Chirico kick. Look at that. Look at that, coach.
wow.
That's basic striking. Basic. Look at that. That's scary. That's scary. And it's the touch of the Medusa. You get hit, boom, you turn into stone.
Oh yeah, I
Had
know
that. I had that on cork there.
his brain was scrambled in that one because I know his eyes were going everywhere. I didn't saw the fight, but I guarantee his eyes was going everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. NMVA here in the chat has a question. It says, "Have you seen the Peace doc on Spencer Kingfisher?" Yeah, I actually lived in Iowa, so I personally know Spencer Fisher, and yeah, he's having a lot of trouble. A lot of those guys from that era, Spencer Fisher, Matt Hughes, obviously because he had that accident with the train, but yeah, they're having a lot of problems with traumatic brain injury. And you see it 10 years afterwards. You go to those battles. Back in the day, he would train at Militich Fighting Systems down up in Davenport, Iowa. And Robbie Lawler was there. Tim Sylvia was there. Um, Spencer Fisher was trained there as well, I think. So there's, back in the day, the training was completely different. It's not like you see how Max Holloway looked with absolutely no hard sparring. He looked like a world beater, and you're gonna look at that fight, Chino, and you're gonna see it, and you're gonna. I want you to analyze that boxing for our other podcast because it was a thing of beauty. I have a question here from Binky. Question for you and El Chino. What do you think about Conor versus Dustin? How both can beat each other? Boxing of Dustin Poirier versus the boxing of McGregor. What do you think? And you've seen McGregor in the Mayweather fight.
Yeah, well, McGregor has a weakness, and I don't know why most of the MMA fighter hasn't explode that weakness, and is that McGregor goes all out right away. He wants to finish the fight fast because he knows he's gonna gas out. So for me, I would say Poirier has better chance taking him down the first round and half of the second, and then go with the striking because that as long as McGregor is still healthy, he's gonna throw with full force.
Yeah, but if you compare the striking, who would say as a boxing coach, when you see the Conor McGregor striking and the Dustin Poirier striking, give us your thoughts on both of these strikers.
Dustin Poirier has better boxing. He stands a little bit more boxing like, and McGregor's a little bit too open. It just McGregor, stays like that with the opportunity to be able to kick. Dustin, he kicks, but when he's boxing, he kind of concentrate just with that. So there's different way when a wide stand and boxing stand they're fighting each other, but all other elements are in the game. It's a 50-50. Nobody has the advantage. Even if Dustin has better boxing, Connor can still kick. If Connor was in the same stance, boxing to boxing, I give it to Dustin Poirier. Or they both were wide stand looking for kicks also. I will I will give it to Connor. Well, a little bit more to Dustin because he'll be waiting those kick and he will hack the actual stance for the kick. But I don't know. For me, I think this fight coming up is going to be different, and I'm slightly leaning towards Dustin Poirier.
Yeah, I like Dustin Poirier. I think Connor will be able to bring it out. I mean, we've seen the previous Connor fight, and but Connor is looking like a monster recently, and I think he has a good chance, just psychologically from beating him before. But what Poirier has done in the past fights, you can't deny that Poirier has done such an amazing piece of work with his striking and his ability to finish and his ability to out heart because he's beating opponents by heart. Like his last fight with Dan Hooker was landing, but Poirier, he was on top of him right after. So he got one and he got right back and he was able to dig to the body and to use his head movement to land shots. Did you see that fight? The Dan Hooker fight?
Nah, like I said, I haven't literally watched hardly any fights at all because a little bit busy, and the guys that we got in the boxing gym, we have to be always checking the competition. So working full time plus the baby plus the trainer, and even the podcast and other stuff running is a little bit hard to. But even the boxing matches is hard to watch for me.
Absolutely. We have a question from Nozu. Do y'all believe Peter Yang will be the next Dominic Cruz? Not in style, but in length. Yeah. Yeah, Nozu, I'll give it to you. Yeah, who's there? Who's there with him? Aljamain Sterling. I don't think he's going to be able to hang. Corey Sanhagen, let alone Cody Garbrandt, Frankie Edgar, Rob Font, Jose Aldo, Marlon Moraes, Pedro Munoz, Jimmy Rivera. You know, there's absolutely no one there that I think is going to give problems to Peter Yan. You got another question. Connor doesn't use round kicks as much as he uses Taekwondo karate base, which uses more kicks to the middle. If Dustin makes it out of the first round, his gas tank will just keep taking a beating. Yeah, I think both of them. I mean, when you're focusing on kicks a lot, you're spending a lot of energy, and I think that's what is going to be an issue for Connor because it's a 5 round fight. It's going to be a main event, so you're going to have to pull through. And Connor is looking huge. If you guys have seen, let me see if I have a picture. Connor is looking massive for his next fight. I think I might have a picture here. No, I don't think so. I think I deleted it. But yeah, Connor is looking massive, and I think that's going to be a defining factor. We got more questions here. Yeah, no, I totally agree. There's no way Aljo gets past Peter Yan. He's a scary guy. Yeah, Peter is scary. That fight with Jose Aldo. Jose Aldo, it was actually a good fight. Jose Aldo versus Peter Yan was a great fight. And we saw how great Peter Yan is. I wasn't a believer. I thought Jose Aldo was going to take it. But I have to shut it and say Pete and give props to Peter Yan here because he is a crazy, crazy striker. Okay, so it looks like we have another question here. This might be a bit controversial. Do y'all believe Canelo ducked Beterbiev and Bivol at 175 to go down weight?
that's
Come on, coach.
another that's another thing that has a lot of controversy. A lot. At first he's like, "Oh, it's not about the belt," and now it's all about the belt and 168. The Triple G wants to fight. He said he Triple G wants to fight, and he has to go from 160 to 168. But then he will go down to 160 to fight Errol Spence because Errol Spence is at 147. But then he wouldn't. He don't want to fight David Benavides because he don't have a belt. But if a Triple G goes up and Spence goes up, they don't have a belt either. So he contradicts himself. And in my belief, he's a great fighter. I have no problem against him, but he does choose who he knows he can beat. That's just my opinion.
Absolutely, absolutely. It says, will boxing finally learn to lower sparring intensity, or will they continue with the brain damage? How do you are you guys sparring really hard in the gym?
Actually, they don't like like I said, we got Rashidi, and I seen Rashidi spar Dimitri Andre. A lot of the guys know who's Dimitri Andre. They call him Boo Boo, and they don't go hard. The person that comes in to help a fighter for his fight, he know he cannot go all blow like full force, because if you hurt him, you're messing with his career, and you're messing with his beans. That's the money to he get to sustain his family. So they don't go full force unless it's just a sparring. There's no fight coming up soon, and they have a beef. Because I've seen it when guys have beef or something happen in the ring that they start not liking each other, they will go full blown out.
We are back. Sorry, we had a little internet problem. Speaking of Errol Spence, in my opinion, he looked really off in his recent fight. I thought he would be retired after the crash, but good on him for keeping on. I definitely don't see him beating Crawford now.
Ah, that one I put at 50-55, but remember, Crawford is going up. He's a lighter weight, and Errol Spence, he still has time to be back in track. Um, Danny Garcia is not a how you call it? It's not a bum. He's still a top five fighter, and the fact that he beat him up the way he did, nobody had ever seen Danny Garcia that beat up. It says a lot, and the doctor told Errol Spence there's no inflammation in his brain, so that he's completely good to fight. I think Spence is gonna still fight in elite level. And for whoever wrote that, remember how many times Crawford's been down in other fights with lesser opponent, and check how many times Errol Spence been down. There's a big difference. It's 0 to like 6 or 7.
Yeah, I agree. I agree completely on that opinion. So I think, yeah, I think we're here almost at the end. So I'd like to thank everybody for being. Oh, we got one more. It says Crawford is overrated. We got a war here, you guys. Uh,
Okay, I know this. We're talking about MMA. I'm just gonna talk about this. It's overrated, but undisputed in 140, and it has a title in 147, undefeated. You think if he's overrated? Overrated.
there you go. There you go. So I'd like to thank Coach Rivera, El Chino, like we know of him in Puerto Rico. It's been a long time, buddy. Love to have you here on the channel as a boxing expert. Follow his channel, please, as well. What's the name of your channel, Coach?
Well, it's in Spanish. So for those that know Spanish, and then soon we're gonna be going live stream. It's mostly just a regular audio podcast, but it's called De Boxeo Se Habla. Simple.
Excellent, excellent. Of course. And here's my Instagram at Octagon Doctor, and my Twitter is at Dr. Yared. Follow you know, the day-to-day life of a ringside physician, internal medicine specialist. So I'd like to thank everybody for being with me here on the post live stream. I'd like to thank Coach Rivera for being here on the live stream. It was an hour. Of course, if you like this content, that you want more people to get in on the conversation, share and like. Love you guys. Thank you, buddy. And that's it for us on the post live stream. I'll post clips of the show here on my channel, displaying your questions so you can share and show everybody that you were present.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.